And many of the times when we say finances have become a stumbling block for several people. But finances, God made finances be a benefit to his people. Don't look at it as something negative, but look at it as something that God issued to us for us to use to the glory of God. Amen. Because there's nothing, you can't go to the store and buy something on looks. You can't do anything on promise anymore. God wants you to prepare yourself and be wise in what God has prepared for you and use it wisely. We've gone through Destination 1. And I know Senior Pastor got a lot of information up here with this that you passed on the table, you passed all out. But we're going to get right into Destination 2. If you notice that headline, it says pay off what?
Credit card.
That's one of the most crucial issues that we deal with today, credit cards. Anybody know how much their credit cards cost, charge them an interest? I see you're looking at, probably you need the light on.
No, I think the picture's a little blurred. Probably right at that. There.
Some credit cards, interest rates are as high as 20, 25, and 30% interest on it. It depends on how your credit reference is. There are those that have good credit and can get credit cards at a lower rate, interest rate, than those that with bad credit. And believe it or not, those that doesn't have any credit at all, they suffer too. So we're going to move on to the says, pay off all credit cards. And most people that look at credit card as an enemy. I know they say you don't have at least one credit card, right? But in that having one credit card, be sure you make timely payments. Don't overcharge that you can't make a payment. Making minimum payments on a card will stretch the payment out, and all you'll be doing is making minimum payments on it. It will never seem to go down. But the idea of it is to pay credit cards off, you must pay not only what's due, but pay some dollars beyond what you can afford to do. And that would be a great help to you in paying off a credit card. Okay. The second bullet is increased savings to 1 month living expenses. And the next one is increased giving to the Lord through your time, talent, and money. All three of them is important. Look for creative ways to increase income. All right. This says stop using your credit card and develop a debt payoff plan. I know it says hard, but you probably getting that circulated to you now. But if you don't develop a debt payoff plan, you'll forever be debt loaded, deeply in debt. And some people say you pay them off, find your lowest one to pay it off. But while you paying your lowest debt off, still pay on your highest debt. Because you don't want to pay off the lowest debt and not pay on your highest debt. Because you have to pay on both of them but you pay all you can on the lowest one till you get it out the way, then you can pay more on that high debt bill, okay? But don't, so I'm skipping the main debt. I wanna pay the small one off. No, don't skip it, because the interest will build up on you real fast in that. The non-payment method unpacked. Never take out this kind of a loan. Paying off Christmas debt. I was just as guilty as that as I could be. When I first got married, I told y'all in the beginning, I would go to this finance place, just paid it off in November, and I'll go back to 1st of December to make another loan to pay for the Christmas gift that I got. I wasn't wise then. But somewhere along the way I did get wise and stopped borrowing that money at Christmas time, because it took me a whole year to pay it off and go right back in debt. And sometimes we got to realize that when we get out of one debt, don't go back and make another one. How many of you have consolidated your bills in the past? You know the first thing I do when I consolidate that bill seem like? I go back and make another bill. That was just as wrong as it could be. But I said, I only owe this one bill, so I got this amount of money, which I could have been saving, stashing away, but yet I was going and getting back in debt on something that I really didn't need. That wasn't being wise at all. Non-payment methods unpacked. Never take out this kind of loan and paying off Christmas debt. I have to remind myself of that. Okay, we're going back to the non-payment method. You got that information, man? Can anybody see to read some of it off?
You want it out loud?
Out loud. Clear.
Cash, check, money order, traveler's checks, debit card, credit card, online banking, bill payment, electronic bank account deductions. Is that what you wanted?
This is non-payment methods unpacked. That's what it is.
Is that your title? Can you read the beginning of it, please?
There are 9 different payment instruments. And then there was those 9 that I named. Cash, check.
Is that the first page?
Yes. Cash, check, money order, traveler's check, debit card, credit card. That's only 8 though. Online banking, bill payment, and electronic bank account deductions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
It should be another one.
What's that cash and check?
It's not on that page. Prepaid cards.
That's the 9th one.
It's not on the face. Yeah.
Why is it so important to follow those non-payment methods?
So you can get out of debt, or you can trace for everything that you pay out, or know what you pay out.
And so just like you said, so you can get out of debt. But how many people really get out of debt and go right back in debt again?
Well, in all honesty, the way society is built, you're going to pay somebody. The way society dictates, but that's us allowing society to dictate to us. Other than, like we talked about a couple times, taxes. you're gonna pay taxes. You're gonna always pay taxes.
I concur with that. But, go ahead,
Why I say unpack? What that mean?
It's telling you the benefits of using these ones that they have listed here. And they give you information about
in
them.
other words,
So the unpacked part is just revealing?
yeah,
Okay.
so to use these methods. In other words, go ahead.
Let's just read, I'm sorry, if this doesn't look correct or whatever, is because we were having problems making copies upstairs. So now I kinda gotta figure out how this is, stapled myself, and I do apologize for that.
It still reads the same.
Okay, let's go to debit or credit. You decide. Would someone like to read that?
Because we have a checking account, we also have a debit card that gives us access to draw from our account without writing a check or use it at our bank's ATM. Although we both carry our cards, we seldom use them. We look at them as a backup option. They do not offer the same identity theft protections as a credit card and make your entire account balance vulnerable if the card is lost or stolen. A debit card offers the convenience of a plastic, but is not debit. Debt. Be careful because you can overdraw your account. If you struggle with overspending or are trying to stop creating debt, exclusively use your debit card and monitor your account closely. In our home, we carry only one credit card. We have chosen a card that rewards us with airline bonus miles since we like to accrue those for family travel. By carrying only one card, we accumulate miles more quickly, easily track our balance to avoid overspending, and we pay off the balance every month. For payment services like PayPal that are tied to our credit card, we consider them all a part of our credit card expenses.
So what we hear is the difference between a debit or a credit card. When we use debit cards, we are using our own money. When we use a credit card, we are using somebody else's money. And then it went on and told us what we need to try to do, or it's not saying we shouldn't have a credit card, number one. And I'm sure we all have credit cards. I have a couple of them myself. But it's how we use them that creates the debt. Which means if we use them and don't pay what we use off the next month, we are accumulating debt. But if we have a zero balance on a credit card and I use it today, and as long as I pay it off in full next month, I have not accumulated any debt. And like they stated here, some people use them like for traveling because they get bonus points. And it still says if you use it for traveling, once you get your bonus points, we are supposed to strive to pay that balance off the next month. That's when we accumulate debt. When we charge on a credit card and we don't pay it off, when we keep on charging and don't pay it off, we are creating debt. Okay? So as long as you're using your money, and it's also telling you to be careful even when you use your own money with a debit card. Because if you go using that debit card and you don't have the money in your account to pay for what you done just purchased, you are still accumulating debt.
That's foolish, isn't it?
Well, they're gonna let you get it, but you also have another account under your checking account, overdraft. Everybody should be familiar with that one. It's called an overdraft account. They're gonna let you get it, and they're gonna pull that money out that overdraft account, which means that now, If you don't pay that overdraft off, you're gonna acquire debt, because that also have interest rates on it. So as long as you use your own money, you are good. But when we start using somebody else's money that we have to pay it back, then we're in trouble if we don't pay it off the next month. So my recommendations is don't charge more than you can pay.
I see in credit cards as the biggest thing is if you one day late, that's $40.
Exactly. That's something else. That's why we can't save, and we'll get into that too. That's one of the biggest reasons why we can't save is because of late charges. Because if you have a bill that come due, you don't meet that payment, then the next thing you know, you're gonna have interest charges, or you're gonna have I call it a fine. And I hate to have to pay a fine for not giving people their money. I hate it with a passion. And that's the reason why I try my best. I mean, I even conduct Spirit of Christ the same way. I hate it with a passion. When the bill come due, I got to pay it. Because that extra money, I feel like we can be doing something else with.
I have a passion similar to that, but my passion is this. Like when you go to the ATM, and I don't know if people understand it now that Kroger charges also. If you go to an ATM that's not affiliated with your bank, they charge you to use the ATM. And my favorite saying is, my money look better in my pocket than it does in someone else's. So, like Kroger tell you for every $20 that you want to get back on your debit card, that they charge you 50 cents. And I was like, really? I'm not that hungry for my money. I can wait. I'll go to the bank and get it. I'm not just going to divvy my money to someone else just because you're giving it to me when I need it right now. I can hold off. I can wait.
We have to also remember that God's way is different than man's way. And if we want to do it God's way, we have to be cautious and aware of the enemy's trap. Because the world does not want us to be representatives of Christ. So therefore, the world is going to do whatever they possibly can to keep us stuck in a system that God did not create. The world system, God did not create that world system for us. But because we live in this world, we have become victims of the traps that the enemy have in place for us. And that's the reason why we're striving to come debt-free, because we no longer want to be in the trap of the enemy. We want to control what God has given us. We don't want to become slaves of society, because when we use society's money and we have to pay it back, we have just become a slave of society. And we're going to do what we have to do in order to pay society their money. So when we start doing that, we have just become the slave. Or the servant. A servant sounds a little better. So I'm going to use servant. We just become a servant to the world. So it's time for us to get out of the trap that we have been trapped in for years. And I'm sure we can all say that we have been trapped, and some of us are still trapped. But we thank God for the information that's coming forth in these last couple of months to help us to make a decision. Do I want to continue to be a slave of man in the world that we live in, or do I want to position myself to be a servant for God? Because everything belongs to God, and He just entrusting us with these things to see how well of a servant that we can be. Not only our finances, but everything that God has entrusted us with, He's only trusting us to see how well we can handle it. If we can't handle $100, don't expect to get 1,000. If we can't handle 1,000, don't expect to get 10,000, because we won't be able to handle that, and God knows that we won't be able to do it. So he ain't gonna put no more on us than we can bear. We can't bear it, he ain't gonna give it to us, okay?
And I would like to say that if you pay your bills on time, your credit card on time, you will get a letter saying what? You have been, your credit have been up.
They won't give,
And
they
that
won't
sounds
give you more.
good, doesn't it?
Trap, that's that
Yeah.
trap.
And they get you strung out there, and once you fall for that, you're in debt for life. Try to be mindful. Don't fall for the trap. If you can get by using the less you can and paying off as quick as you can, you're far better off. Now I think we got cars totaling. I got totaling $70,000. It was waste $70,000 for. You can't pay no $70,000 back. So it looked tempting, but as you said, it looked just as well in my pocket as this going to the bank every day. Go ahead. Okay. I can't hear you.
Can't you just use cash? Why?
You do that with a house?
Yeah, you can use cash. It tells you cash.
But the thing about cash,
That's perfect.
somebody's
If-
gonna
Yeah.
search that out on where you get the cash from.
But that is perfect if that's what you striving to do, because that's really what we're supposed to be doing. And even when you think about a debit card, it is cash. It's your cash that you are using.
But you need to keep an account on how much you got in that account so you know that you won't overspend.
You know, I do apologize because I need to go back to our scripture for tonight, and we need to start right here. Can you pick it up right there, Bishop, the scripture for
The
this week's
scripture for
study?
this week's study is, the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is a slave to the lender. That's NIV, Proverbs 22:7. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is a servant to the lender. That's Proverbs 22:7, the King James Version. Just as the rich rule the poor, so the borrower is servant to the lender. Proverbs 22:7. That's the New Living Translation. In other words, if we are borrowing, we become a slave to who we borrowed from. So we ought to learn how to be the lender rather than the borrower. I know he said we got a long ways to go before we get there, but let's strive. So is anybody working on that $1,000 for that first month?
I'm working on it.
Okay, would someone like to read a borrow? Can everybody see that?
A borrower?
Deacon Williams, I know you can see it.
It's not on this.
Right up here, the last
Okay.
part that.
A borrower is a person or organization that takes out a loan from a bank under an agreement to pay it back later, typically with interest. Servant is a person who is devoted to or guided by something.
So, you know, we have, they have all those classes that are about we are the lenders, not the borrowers. But that's a step process that we need to work on. We become the lender and not the borrower. So what it's saying that some things we have, we don't need. We only need the thing, get the thing that we need, and that we don't need, learn how to do without it. And some people say you're a tight wad, but if you're a tight wad and got your money in your pocket, be as tight as you want to be, because guess what? When you got it in your pocket, you have set yourself up to become a lender and not a borrower, and not a slave to the lender.
Okay, there's one more thing on here we need to read. If someone would read, I need someone to read, keep good records with checks. Can someone read that right quick for me? It's on page 3, same packet. Keep good records with checks.
Writing a check will likely become a thing of the past in the near future. But for now, it has advantages. Although we write a very limited number of checks, we tend to use them when a receipt of the transaction is helpful, or the organization we are paying prefers a check. A good example of this is for charitable giving. In addition to a receipt from the organization where we give, we also have a canceled check as a backup source for our IRS records. There are some cases when a small business prefers not to pay the cost of using a credit card and ask for payment in cash or check. If we need a record for this transaction in our record, we tend to write a check. This is especially important if you itemize your tax deductible expenses.
So even checks eventually is going to become obsolete.
That's what I was gonna ask. Most banks have already eliminated
Right.
paper.
Right, a lot of them
It's
have.
either electronic or,
Right, a lot of them have, and a lot of them haven't. Because I don't think our bank, as of yet,
yeah, my
has
mom
stopped
still
them.
uses checks too.
Yeah, have stopped them, but they will eventually stop accepting checks. So it's very important, even if we don't write checks, to make sure we keep a good balance of our money, keep our receipts, so we would have something to fall back on.
How many
Okay.
of you recall in the past, you wrote a check and the bank will send it to you sometime next month or so, something like
Get
that?
them all back.
But now, unless you request, they'll make a copy of it, send you pictures of it. Because it's been so long since do they still do that?
They call it going
Pastor
green,
Tom?
yeah.
Yeah, they still do that. So, I know, you have to request, we have to request for them to send it to you.
Okay, so again, we're gonna ask that you make sure you read this information once you take it from here. Now, I only print out some of them that I feel like would be beneficial to us here at Spirit of Christ, but there's a whole lot more of them out there on the website. And I know everybody is working really hard, so I try to do as much as I possibly can and print out what I can so that you can take this home and read over it. But there's a lot more if you want to go out to the website, and that's www.crown.org, and look up as much information as you would like.
Tell you, once you start going through these steps and doing these things, you get offers from everywhere, and you have to be careful with those offers, because sometimes what I found, and this happened to me, but it's been a couple of years ago, where they were sending me offers to open up a credit card, and I wouldn't even respond to it, and then they call me and tell me, or they would send me a letter saying that I owe them money. I'm like, for what? So I called them, and they say, well, we sent you a card, and this card had a bill to it if you didn't use it. I said, well, I never accepted it, so how can you give me a bill if I've never accepted it? So you have to be careful with your information, and sometimes you have to respond to mail that you get, because otherwise they try and say that you automatic. No, it wasn't a scam, because they sent the card to you. Then if you don't respond to it, then they are saying that it's your card, and it was a $25 bill if you didn't use it for the month. And I'm like, No, I didn't even accept your card. So I don't want your card. Take me off your list. And they really tried to make me pay them that $25. I refused.
That's a scam, right?
It was a card. It was a card. I remember the card coming in the mail.
But I'm saying, they're gonna make you
They
pay
tried.
for something.
No,
Yeah.
they tried.
That's a scam.
I told them, if you get it, name him Hercules.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and this is your 9 payment methods unpacked, so you can read this later on this week before you come back on Wednesday night. And you also have another packet that says, never take out this kind of loan. We definitely want to address that tonight before we leave here. I think that is some very important information. Because again, the enemy always tried to persuade you to think that you can't make it from one paycheck to the next.
Mhm.
Do we have that in front of us?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Brother Jones, you had your hand up.
You know how you go to the store and use your debit card or your credit card, and they, the teller asks you, do you want cash back?
Mm-hmm.
So, do they charge you a fee for them giving you cash?
I don't know, I hardly ever use my debit card.
I'm the one that uses that.
I hardly ever use mine, so I'm not for sure.
Your debit card should.
You have to ask someone else that does that, I don't do that.
I mean, Kroger now charges 50 cents for every 20 that you get.
Oh, really? See, I don't use
Yeah.
debit, so.
Using your debit card, if you say you want cash back, for every 20 that you get, Kroger charges 50 cents.
Well, I get nothing from it. Everywhere I go, I said no cash back.
Right.
Cause if I wanted cash back, I go to my ATM and get me some cash, but other than that, no cash back.
The object of this study is for you to have your own money whenever you go into the store. So if you need to use your debit card, you don't have to ask for more than what your purchase was for. Because you're gonna always have your cash on you. So that's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to get to a place where we can always have $50 or $100 or whatever we need in our bill folders at any given time. Is that feasible? Yes, it is, because it's your money. You have saved it. You can walk around with it in your purse, in your bill folder, because it's yours. And you don't have to worry about paying no interest on it. You don't have to worry about going to bed at night thinking you got to get up in the morning and pay somebody interest on $100, because it was yours. That's the purpose of this journey, to get to the place that you have your own. So if we have it in our pocket, Brother Jones, we won't have to ask them to give us extra when we use our debit card to purchase. We can use our debit card to purchase the exact amount and be done with it, and you'll still walk out the store with cash in your pocket. That's where we're trying to go on this journey, okay? So we want to address never take out this kind of loan. This is critical. This is another place where we done got trapped up at. And if you think about it, how many of us normally travels through like Liberty Township and all these other places and see money stores on the corner?
You said Liberty Township?
Yeah.
You don't see no money stores
Right.
on the corner.
Where do you see most of them at?
Impoverished neighborhoods.
That's where they at. Thank you, brother.
What was your question?
What you, money loans, whatever. See, I can't even, what's the name of it?
Paycheck loans.
Yeah, there you go. Y'all got the pamphlet. What is that? Y'all got a
Title
pamphlet.
loans.
Yeah.
You don't see them in
Right.
middle class suburban
Right.
or upscale neighborhoods.
You don't see them there. Because they're making their money off of us. See, we don't see it like that. That's the reason why they can live where they live. Because they're making money off of us by having those kind of places in our neighborhood. So now it's time for us to start getting smart so we can learn how to use our own money. That's the reason why they're out there. Because we done actually made them rich by going to those kind of places, getting money, and we want to read that. We definitely want to read that tonight so I can make sure before I leave here tonight that we all heard it. Okay? All right. Do I have a reader out there?
Where you want,
I need you to read it loud so everybody can hear it.
where you want to start at, dear considering?
Yes.
Dear considering, thanks for the great question. This is a topic close to my heart, and actually close to God's heart too. Payday loans are a bad idea. They should be considered predatory loans because too often they lead to a form of servitude for people who get trapped in excessive debt, nearly impossible to repay. Usually a payday loan involves a very short term, very high interest rate, taken on those who are in financial difficulty without many options. In short, people who are in trouble and desperate for quick cash.
Is everybody with her? Yvette, you got it?
No.
Can someone
That's
help
it.
her out back
She
there?
just-
In the middle
she
of
about to
the-
do that
okay.
page now.
Right, you started dear consider
Okay.
instead of dear trust.
Should be at the top there.
Is everybody familiar with that kind of loan?
Yeah.
Are you finished?
Oh, yeah.
Are you finished? Okay. Beware.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Yeah.
But it's
That's the
working.
reason why it's important that we, as the body of Christ, learn how to manage our money. Because we no longer want to be trapped again in the world system. That's the reason why Crown want us to know that we can become debt free. So the question tonight I would like to ask, how long, and nobody has to answer this, you can just think about it. How long do we want to be enslaved to the world system? And each individual can answer that question themselves. Okay. And that is never take out this kind of loan. That's the worst loan that you can possibly take out. Yes, ma'am.
There's another one, that falls under this,
I can't hear you.
there's another one that falls under this title loan. When people take their titles on their car.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And the title loan, how does that work?
Well, you can go to a cash checking place and take your title, and they give you money off your title. And if you don't pay it, and the interest rate is high, you don't pay it, you lose your car.
Okay. Okay. That's another no-no. Thank you for that information. Okay. So then again, we gotta always be thinking. If we have not been thinking, we gotta always start thinking from this day on. How important it is to become good stewards of our money.
Do you have an idea how much that interest on that title loan?
It goes off of the state. Some states is 20%, 25%, but it's high.
Okay.
The
Paying
title,
off. Go ahead. Who
the
had
title
it?
loan place, I've seen it work in reverse for some people too. I've seen it to where, for instance, if you had a vehicle that you really wanted to get rid of, and you wanted more money than most people were offering you for the vehicle, you could take it and go and give them the title and get the loan amount of the money that you really wanted, and then allow them to just take the car.
Oh, that's scam.
That's what?
Scam.
That's scam.
You scamming them
I didn't see it as a scam, but they said that it was worth that, and they gave you the money for it. How's that a scam?
Cause you went in knowing that you was gonna be,
That you was gonna release
Yeah.
the car?
yeah.
Oh.
But is it possible, do they actually give you enough money to really cover that? Or they just
Well,
give you?
When you go in, they look at the blue book,
Mm-hmm.
they look at the year of the card, and then they ask you how much do you want. So they put all that together. And there's been some people that come out, came out of there with some money. And they tried to pay it back, but the interest rates were so high that they literally lost their car.
And that's the reason why they call it a trap. Because now you got their money, and the interest rates are so high that you can't pay it, and so now you're trapped. So what's left for you to do is to give it up. You see what I'm saying? So then again, that's another ploy of the enemy. The Lord has allowed you to get something, and the enemy to figure out how to take it back from you. And see, that tunnel vision is what gets us in trouble. It's not what you know that gets us in trouble. It's what we don't know is what gets us in trouble. And that tunnel vision, looking out that little tunnel vision, that little one-way street, as long as I get the cash, I'm good. But what are the consequences from getting the cash? There's always another side to a story. When I came up, my mom used to always say, it's two sides to a story. Now, which side do you want to listen at?
The truth.
The truth. And that's why we're here tonight, because we want to hear the truth. And we shall know the truth. And the truth shall do what? Deacon? It'll set us free. And that's what we're talking about now. Debt free. That free, and the more I say it, the better I feel. You know, I got so used to saying debt free till I'm happy about it at this point. I done got excited about it. And I don't want to be excited about myself. I want to bring some people along with me so they can tell the same story that we tell. You see what I'm saying? Is it possible? Yeah. Is it possible to defeat the enemy at his game? And I can stand before you tonight and tell you, yes, you can.
See,
okay.
I think one thing we do is that it's old saying that you go purchase a new car, and you drive it off the showroom floor, and you pass another new car, and you look at it and say, I should have got that. But I said, I'm not satisfied with whatever I get. I always want something what I think is better. If you got a new car and you're able to get a new car, be satisfied with it. We don't get something if we can't afford it. There's nothing wrong with getting a decent used car, an older car, that'll get you from point A to point B. It matters not what other people think about what you're driving. It's what you can afford that counts. Don't be a slave to it, but come out on the winning side all the time.
Okay, so something else I've printed out for you tonight, since that we're getting ready to go into the holiday seasons. And I know when we get ready to go shopping this year, we got plastic cards and all that other good stuff that we can use. So I thought it would be a good time to also tonight give you a copy of Paying Off Christmas Debt. Not only paying off Christmas debt, but preparing yourself for the next year coming in. If you start earlier in the year, you don't have to worry about debt at the end of the year. And I'm not going to tell nobody not to shop for Christmas. That's your prerogative, what you want to do. But it's my place to let you know how you should do it to stay free of debt. So that was the reason why I printed that out for you. And it's the top of it is Paying Off Christmas Debt. I would like for you to read that, pray over it, and my philosophy is anymore, pray for everything that you get ready to do. Like before we even started this class, I asked you to pray that the Lord would condition your heart and prepare you for the journey. Because if your heart is not prepared for this journey, we're not going to make the journey. And we done already talked about Paul, learning how to be content and no matter what state you're in. And I think our bishop just said that so plainly. You do what you can afford to do. Not what your neighbor's doing next door, or your friends are doing across the street. We have to look at the finances that God has entrusted us with, and that's what we use, not what somebody else is doing. Because we can get ourselves in some real big trouble when we start trying to be and do like somebody else. Just do what God has given you to do what you can do with, and be content like Paul. And when we get like that, we'll all be good. Okay? Okay. So
At Christmas time, I think you ought to have an amount that you're gonna spend, and that's it. Settle for that amount that you're gonna spend, and be satisfied with it. Go ahead.
Well, if you don't know the amount that you want to spend.
Did anybody hear back there?
Can you pass that around, please?
She said, what if you don't know the amount you're going to spend?
What if you don't know the amount? You said, what if you don't know the amount?
Yeah.
Well, you set the amount that you want to spend. That's where you come in. You use your own intelligence. You know how much money you got. You know how much you can afford, how much you can't afford. Don't go overboard trying to please other people.
well, I can see why that would be difficult for her to ask that question, is because being transparent, years ago, we used to buy everybody in the family a present. Somewhere down the line, God gave us a plan. And the plan was on Thanksgiving Day, at Thanksgiving dinner, we draw names. This is what works for us. It may not work for everybody. And after we draw the names, we said, how much are we going to pay for the gift? And whatever that gift was, that's what we spent. No more and no less. So we haven't had Thanksgiving, so she really don't know what she's going to be asked to do. So I can really understand why she asked that question. That's learning how to simplify life, making things easy. Don't overspend. Just spend what you got and keep going. Just draw names. If you got children, when our children was young, when our grandchildren was younger, before they start working, this here you should have had too, but you didn't. This here, I think I just passed that around.
GIF savings.
Yeah, that's what we're getting ready to go into now. When they were smaller, they had $10. $10 gift. That's all they had to spend was $10. The adults was a little bit more, but the children was just $10. And we were good with that. We came together, ate. Everybody came together in one room and passed out we always played a little game with it. We made it exciting. Played a little game with it. Everybody left with their little gift. Everybody was happy. We laid down in bed at night and wasn't nobody in debt.
Yeah. They bring a big box in there. You unwrap the big box, there's another box in it. You unwrap, there's another box in it. You unwrap, there's another box in it. You get down to the last box, there's nothing in it. Then they finally give you a gift on the side and say, but you went through it.
Okay, so next is increased savings to 1 month living expenses. Now I know we have already talked about $1,000, right?
Yeah.
What was $1,000 for Evangelist Jones? You remember?
Our emergency fund.
Emergency fund. And what is the emergency fund used for?
Emergency.
Okay. Emergencies, that's exactly what it's used for. So that's $1,000 just for that. Now, I keep telling you, everybody, it's a journey, so we can't do all this at one time. But at least we know that when we started, there are several things that's got to fit into this puzzle in order for everything to work, okay? So, increase savings to 1 month's living expense. So now, you done got to the place, you done saved your $1,000. Now, you want to look at what your budget is for a month. That's including your rent, your utilities, your car insurance, your car note, your food, your clothing, your entertainment, Paying God and paying yourself. Well, God should have been at the top. I should have said him first, then everything else, and paying yourself. Add all that together. Whatever that comes to, that's your 1 month expense. Now you're ready. After you started to save your $1,000, now you're ready to save 1 month expense. Actually, you should get to the point where you have 6 months, but Crown is telling us to start with 1. So we got our $1,000, and now we're going to start saving on our 1 month expense. And it also gave us some tips on how we can go about doing that. Because we're spending money in areas that we can really start saving and to help us get to our goals much quicker, then if we keep doing what we're doing, it's going to prolong what we're trying to do. So some of the things that they have on there. Number 1, matter of fact, there's 13 of them. Some of you may already be doing some of them, and that's great. That's fantastic. Keep doing it and get better at doing it. Okay? 1, act like you receive 24 paychecks a year instead of 26. Okay? Act like you get 24 instead of 26. 2, compete with yourself. You know, we compete with others. Now you can compete with yourself by asking yourself, can I really do this? Do I want to do it? Then you start saying, yes, you can. Okay, so you got to compete with your own self. Set up automatic transfer. If you can possibly set that up, that's a good way to do it. So you don't have to do it. Automatic transfer is right in the bank. Adjust your tax withholdings. If you can possibly do that, to up that where they're taking out more money, good. Because in the end, you're going to still end up winning, if you can do it. Okay? Number 5, always check for coupons and rebates. Groupons is excellent. If you're not using that, I recommend that you tap into that. If you're in the military, I have been in the military, I'll always ask if they give military discounts. If you're a senior citizen, great, you can always ask if I can get the senior citizen discounts. So don't be afraid to ask, because you never know if you're going to receive it or not until you ask. Okay? Plan ahead and never go shopping without a list. Never go shopping without a list. When we go shopping without a list, what is it that we do? We overspend. We pick up stuff that mentally is tough. And never go shopping when you're hungry. There's 2 things you should never do. Go shopping when you're hungry, and go without a list. That's why you should always practice on eating something before you go to the
I knew I wanted some cookies.
Or not only to the grocery store, or when you just go out shopping.
Yeah.
You go out shopping, in your head you say, I'm going to give me a pair of shoes. You come back with a coat, a dress, stockings, shoes, hair, everything nowadays. You know what I'm saying? So don't go out shopping unless you make a list and stick to your list. Okay? We're just going to start practicing these. Some of these little things are small that we can just start practicing now. Okay. Ask for discounts. Your telephone company, they run these specials. And if you don't watch them, they'll raise your bill. But if you don't call them and ask them if they got any specials going on, they won't call you and say anything about it. So take out time and pick up the phone and start calling these places and asking them, okay, what kind of specials do y'all have going on? And you'll be surprised what you can get. Okay, find a buddy. The buddy system works well. The buddy system, we hold each other accountable. That's what the buddy system do. Weight loss people, when they want to lose weight, they get a buddy. And they hold each other accountable to sticking to whatever they have decided to do, whether they're going to walk 3 days a week, whether they're going to drink water and not soda, a buddy system works. If you think you need a buddy, find somebody that you can trust and let them be your buddy system. Do your research. Always research. It may take you a little time. If you want to buy a car, if you want to buy a house or anything, do your research before you venture out to do that. Okay? Research. Taking our time. We got to slow it down and start reading, getting out there on the internet and doing research. A couple hours is not going to hurt us. It's more than likely going to save us before it hurts us. Okay? Okay. Start Christmas shopping early for the ones that do a lot of shopping and good-hearted. Start early. Don't wait until the last minute. When we wait until the last minute, we have a tendency to do what? That plastic. Because we don't have the money now and we want to do it, we done waited until the last minute, so then we start pulling out plastic. If we don't pay it in January, then we're in debt. Okay? Set goals. Set goals for yourself. Where do you want to be at the first quarter in 2020? When you reach that goal, the first quarter in 2020, where do you want to be at the second quarter? Where you want to be at the third quarter? And as you reach these goals, just keep moving forward. Don't turn back. And it's going to feel strange to us. It's going to make us uncomfortable. Why? Because now we're going against the grain. We have been traveling downhill with the grain. Now you got to travel the opposite way. And that's not going to feel good. It's not going to be easy. We're going to hit some bumps in the road where you're going to have to hold on real tight. So yes, we set goals and we're going to stick to our goals. And we're going to conquer what we aim to do. Okay, just remember, as long as we go with the grain, we're comfortable. Because it's smooth sailing. You know, you're traveling downhill and you just all laid back in comfort zone. Now, okay, I got to change direction. I got to go uphill. I'm out of my comfort zone. It's going to start getting hard. But if you got a buddy, when it get hard, when one of you are down, the other one can help your other one up. Because we're going against the grain. And I think I mentioned this last week. I shared with the class how I started saving. When I really got in my heart to start saving, I started out with $2 bills. But I noticed this week when I was doing studying, Crown says $5 bills. I didn't start out with 5. Our women's group, when I ministered to them, and our ministers and our women's group, I let them know to start wherever they're comfortable at. But wherever you're comfortable at, stay there and don't stop doing what you're doing. And as you see what you're doing is working, you're going to get better at it. And that's the name of the game. We want to get better at what we do, correct? Okay.
We had an instructor. So he saved $5. He would, whatever bill came to, if he put enough money on the table so he could get $5 back. If it came to $15, he put a $20 bill on the table. Get $5, he take it and put it in a bank. And he said, when he got ready to go on vacation, he had enough money saved to pay for his whole vacation for that year. Him and his wife both. They never spent, as I said, they always collected $5 bills. If they had a $5 bill in their pocket, they put it in the bank. If the bill came to $15, they give them $20. Came to $95, they give them $100. So they could save that $5. And so with saving that $5, the vacation was paid for, or saving that $5. Drink only water.
Okay, and our final tonight is put God first in our lives. And this came from And I don't know how many of you all are familiar with Dave Ramsey. But we had this class at CCU. And matter of fact, I sold some books here at Spirit of Christ. And some of you have this book.